Hello, my beautiful and wonderful movie peeps out there. Thank you so much for coming back to watch another episode of Side Flick. We've got movie news to discuss, so let's get into it. Some of the things we're going to be talking about here today are kind of heavy-handed subjects. We're going to be talking about the Lilo and Stitch live-action Disney movie that has some controversy behind it. It looks like we're getting closer to the confirmation that the Five Nights at Freddy's movie will be rated PG-13, along with an update concerning the Jonathan Majors situation and how it could affect his Marvel career. That along with so much more, so you guys already know the drills. Timestamps will be in the description. Some of you are probably peeking right now. Oh, we can talk about Insidious 5 also? That's going to be fun. Yeah. It's always fun here. But starting things off here, something I'm really excited about is it looks like tomorrow we will be getting our first official trailer for Insidious 5, currently titled Insidious: The Red Door. We got an official poster of the movie also released. I'm loving it just because of the red door. You guys know me and my red lights. How do you think I feel about red doors? Is that one catchy? Am I trying too hard? You let me know. But I've been talking about this movie on and off ever since it was announced because I think the premise makes it sound like a fun jumping back into the Insidious world. It'll be following the original family of the first two movies 10 years later, where the son is about to go to college, only for the evil entity to return in their lives and start haunting them. This will also be directed by Patrick Wilson. It'll be his directorial debut. I kind of have a lot of high hopes for this. I want it to be good. I remember that first Insidious movie scaring the crap out of me. And with this trailer, we're definitely going to get an idea of whether the movie will be more like the first two movies or like some of the other two films they've released. Throwing it off to you guys, what do you think about this poster for Insidious: The Red Door, and what do you want to see in the trailer? Speaking about sequels here, you guys might have remembered whenever Mortal Kombat first came out during the time of the pandemic, where Warner Brothers was releasing a movie in theaters and on streaming service HBO Max, Mortal Kombat was actually the most viewed movie on their streaming service at that time. So of course they were gonna bust out a sequel. I know a lot of people didn't end up loving that version of Mortal Kombat. I actually found it to be fine. Of course, it has its missteps and dumb things that happen in the movie, but I enjoyed it. I didn't think Cole Young was a bad introduction as far as a new character goes. I thought a lot of the visuals and fight scenes were kind of cool. Well, the update that we have here today is that a producer on the Mortal Kombat movie basically confirmed that the film will begin filming June in Australia of this year. It'll be filming all the way till September, and man, I am looking forward to what they do here. Even if you're someone who hated what they did with that movie, you're also looking forward to it because we want to know, who's Johnny Cage? I am not ready for when that article hits the web and the world finds out blank is Johnny Cage. We're gonna love it or hate it. I even asked some of you guys on my Twitter, who would you think it'll be? And, some of y'all were busting out people like The Miz, Cody Rhodes. I think so far my favorite suggestion is Scott Adkins. He would be perfect. Then we have our people wishing a little too unrealistically, Ryan Reynolds, Chris Pratt, Ryan Gosling. Oh, they would be amazing, no doubt, but they are expensive. And this Mortal Kombat movie is gonna be made on the cheapy deep. And that's just one new character. We know they're gonna probably introduce a bunch of other cool famous Mortal Kombat characters that didn't get a chance to shine in the first movie. So yeah, with the movie getting ready to film in June, I'd say it's about like a month before we find out some of these new cast members and characters. You guys now know that Mortal Kombat 2 will officially begin filming this summer. You excited? Who's your pick for Johnny Cage? I know you want me, but I don't split like I used to. Moving on here, talking about some controversial topics that have been happening in the movie space the past couple of weeks, starting off with the live-action Lilo and Stitch movie. So if you haven't heard by now, Disney has decided to do a live-action Lilo and Stitch movie, which, hey, I'm all up for. I think there's actually something really cool you could do there. Bringing in all those aliens and that space fight at the beginning of the movie would be awesome in live-action form. Only downside is it was announced to be a Disney Plus exclusive, so they're gonna cheapen it and just make it something that they're gonna poo-poo on their streaming service. At least that's kind of what they've done so far. I'm happy to be proven wrong with this one. Well, other than movie fans typically hating this because it's a Disney remake, there's been other reasons that fans have really gotten on the case of this movie. For one, the cast announcements. Starting off with some of the cast members that were announced, you're going to have Zach Galifianakis and Billy Magnussen. It's rumored they're going to play the two aliens on the search for Stitch, Bleakley and Jumbo, which I feel like that's a perfectly fine choice for both of them. And then you have Mia Kalua, who will be portraying Lilo, and then Sid Sydney Agondog as Nani. Also Kahi Machado as David. I definitely butchered those names and I apologize. Now, the biggest complaint fans were having here with these casting choices is they felt they went for light-skinned actors that weren't exactly portraying the roles of their cartoon counterpart. That's an argument and debate a lot of people have been having about colorism, being willing to show darker skin tones instead of just going with someone that looks closest to whitest. And I'll be honest with you, that's something I never even really thought about, so it's kind of interesting that people have brought that up and complained about it. I just kind of feel bad for these actors and actresses who got cast in the roles, thought they were going to be part of a big Disney movie, only to see this hate online about their specific skin tones, and I'm like, damn, that's kind of harsh. But putting that aside, the biggest controversy that I stand with, and I'm like, what the heck, man? A brand new character added into the Lilo and Stitch movie means that they have removed an iconic character from that film. We have here Julene Purdy, who's set to be playing a social worker, which if you remember the Lilo and Stitch movie, that was a big part of the film where the sister has to prove that she can take care of her younger sister and not be taken away from her into the system. That role in the movie was played by a character named Cobra Bubbles. In the movie, he was an ex-CIA agent, even had some experience with contacting aliens, but at the current time, he was just working as a social worker. It looks now that they've decided to remove Bubbles from the movie and replace it with this actress, and I'm like, why would you do that? This feels so random and pointless. You even could have had Ving Rhames return in the role. He's the one who originally voiced him in the Lilo and Stitch movie. That man is still working and fits the look of the cartoon character. Why didn't you just throw him in there? I also think you're kind of taking away from the movie because it wasn't just that he was a social worker, he was ex-CIA. He had contact with aliens. It made him kind of experienced with this whole Stitch situation. What is the point of removing a vital character from the film for something new like this? You know? I don't know, maybe they're still planning to bring in Bubbles somehow into the movie, but I thought the way he was implemented the first time around was gonna work, and I'm like, you're remaking it. Why don't you keep that the same? Look, I'm still looking forward to this live action Lilo and Stitch movie. I can't wait to see what CGI Stitch is gonna look like, but having the director of this movie be the one who made Marcel the Shell, and that being an Oscar nominated film, it gives me hope that this film could still turn out great. But right now, a lot of people are against this film, and I throw it off to you guys. How do you feel about this Lilo and Stitch controversy? Moving on here, talking about some Five Nights at Freddy's, the ongoing debate that we have still had amongst us fans is whether the film will be rated R or PG-13. And well, thanks to FNAF movie updates, they noticed that a YouTuber that was confirmed to be working on the set of the film, in their comments section, they were asked if they knew the film would be rated R, and they replied with saying it was said on set it would be PG-13. Now, of course, this is not 100% confirmation, the final nail in the coffin. No, I'm still gonna wait for the big day they make that official, but it is some piece of evidence gearing us towards that. I've said for the longest time, I believe the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is gonna be PG-13. There is just such a large audience for this that are mainly kids. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know? The FNAF books are sold in the children's section of most bookstores. A lot of the fan base that keeps it alive online are kids under the age of 13, but then there's also the kids who grew up with FNAF that started playing it in middle school and now they're in college or maybe even starting their own families. But the main reason I want to talk about this is to further elaborate why one could feel bummed that the movie would be PG-13. The automatic assumption is a horror movie in PG-13 wouldn't work. That's wrong. It's a rarity, but it does happen a lot. We were just talking about Insidious 5. Those first two Insidious films scared the crap out of me. Those are PG-13. And there are a long list of great PG-13 horror films. It's not the fact that it being PG-13 means in my mind it's gonna suck. No, I know you can give me a great story. It's just looking at the FNAF lore, what's happened in the games, iconic moments, there are things in there where I'm like, if it was rated R, it would just add another level to it being amazing. I mean, one moment, for instance, is like William Afton getting spring locked in his suit. That could be a really bloody, gory, intense moment that will now have to be censored down. Maybe even not visually shown on screen. Instead, we'll just see characters' reactions to it going, oh my God. Because it would cross that line, and I just don't want a FNAF movie that is censored. Again, nothing with having to do with the quality of the movie. It can be a great film where the story is mind-blowing. I'm still gonna complain at the end of the day, wish there was a little bit more blood in there. Wish the kills could have been a little bit more gory, just because I feel like that is ingrained in FNAF. And that's where the bumming out is. I don't think it'll be a bad movie because it's automatically PG-13. I just think it'll be missing something, and I will miss that factor in the film. But again, that's just my opinion. If it does turn out to be the case that the movie will be PG-13, what do you think are some iconic FNAF moments in the games that you now know will have to be censored if they try doing that in live action? And well, keeping on the train of controversies here, it's time for us to talk about it, man. The Jonathan Majors situation. So it's been a few weeks now since the Jonathan Majors situation, where there was a 911 call claiming that Jonathan Majors had a domestic dispute with his girlfriend enough to where it left her bruises, marks, and sending her to the hospital. It was obviously a very disappointing thing to hear because I really like Jonathan Majors as an actor. I loved him in Creed 3. I thought he was the best part of Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania. Definitely seemed like he had a bright career ahead of him, and then you hear something like that, you're like, no, I hope this is a misunderstanding of some sorts. And for the most part, that's what the lawyers were saying. Lawyers came out and said that they have undeniable proof, both video and statements from witnesses, even the own girlfriend taking back her statement. It seemed like this situation would maybe blow over and it was just up to the courts to kind of drop the charges. Well, the situation did not get better for Jonathan Majors, as it was revealed this week that his talent agency has dropped him. And it's not just the agency that helps him get all his acting gigs that dropped him, also his PR team dropped him. And that's kind of the people that are supposed to be helping you tell your story to the media, and they said, no, we don't want to help tell your story. It is not looking good for Jonathan Majors. The other thing to note is in this article, they mentioned that Marvel and Disney, as of right now, have not had any meetings about replacing Jonathan Majors as Kang, but I gotta think that's a lie. I think as soon as the news broke out, within the first 3 days, Kevin Feige and the Marvel team were like, what do we do if this gets worse? I think they already have a plan in place for whether to replace him or not. I think the biggest thing they're waiting on right now is his court date, which I believe is supposed to be May 9th. That's where I guess him and his lawyers go and present all the evidence of why he's innocent and these charges should be dropped. And I think that's then where Marvel will make their decisions based off whatever the court says that day, whether they still charge him or they do drop him. Marvel will either recast or just stay with Majors. But man, if his agency and PR team are like, yeah, we don't want to be associated with you anymore, it can't be good. I also see a lot of people comparing this to the Ezra Miller situation. If anything, that is an example of why maybe you should just recast, because think about how early Warner Brothers knew that there was maybe something off with Ezra whenever that video came out of them choking a fan to the ground. That was before The Flash started filming, you know. Ezra came out and said it was a misunderstanding. Even the woman also said, oh, we were just kind of goofing around. Warner Brothers let that slide, and then throughout all the filming of The Flash, before the first trailer came out, it was just month after month, Ezra Miller arrested, Ezra Miller accusation, Ezra. There's really so much more we could dive into this, but again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I want to see what the court case says and what Marvel decides to do then. It is kind of ironic though that the one character whose variant is supposed to look exactly the same in every universe is the person they're gonna have to recast, if it goes that far. But this is where I throw it off to you guys. You hear this update with Jonathan Majors' situation. As of right now, he hasn't been fully charged with anything. There's a court date coming, but his PR and agency team said, we don't want to be associated with you. What do you think is going to happen concerning his Marvel career and whether Marvel will or won't recast him? Oh, and for anyone going, yeah, but they can't recast Ezra Miller. Oh, I think they are going to. They're just waiting for that $300 million movie to hit the box office. Because if they came out right now and said Ezra Miller is no longer the Flash, that's going to hurt their box office, and they don't want to do that to their very expensive movie. But that is all movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I know it was a lot of controversial, heavy-handed topics. At the end of the day, remember, we're movie fans. We're here to celebrate movies, have a good time. I'm not your enemy. You're not my enemy. We just love watching films and eating popcorn. Let's just try to remember that before we get really nasty in them comment sections. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.